And there we go. It's flashed up on the front of the screen. You are live. Good evening, Tuesday, 8 o'clock. I'm Tony James. Welcome along to the channel. As always, so glad you could make it. Joined by Chris from Here We Are Running. Good evening, Chris.
Good evening. Hello, and how are you?
I'm fine. How are you, sir? Have you gone quiet?
We're all right, aren't we?
Yeah, it sounded like we've gone quiet then. Right. I've noticed in the chat already, Chris, that they've already started their own conversation and they're well away. And as is usual with these live streams, it is everybody have a go at Chris, that running guy. I don't know why. They just come on here and abuse each other. It's funny that way. So Chris, the running guy, was here first and then commented by Ben, which is probably going to be the comment of the night. Fastest fingers, slowest legs. Before we go into your history, Chris, did you actually see their 50k ultra from the weekend when there was Chris, Ben, and Dan runs?
I was following it along all the way through the Instagram stories, through to the actual videos that they did. So they all did a fantastic job. But I think Chris, especially, going from what was it? 27 kilometers or something, his previous furthest, up to 50 kilometers, never done a marathon before. So yeah, very well done to all of them. And I'm sure they've earned a good rest after that. Yeah,
it was surprising to see that Chris actually got a personal best, because he never mentions personal best at all, does he? But personal best on longest distance, that was well done. So yeah, congratulations to Dan. Congratulations to Ben, and congratulations to Chris. Get that out of the way to start with. All did well, all raising money for charity. Now, let's talk about yourself. Another Chris, plenty of Chris's in the running world. How did you get started in running, and how long have you been running?
So quite late in life, I guess. I got started. I was coming up for 5 years. 5 years in the summer is when I did my first 5k park run. And I guess I had started running a little bit before that, when I was trying to be able to run 5k without actually stopping. So when I turned up to my first park run, hadn't done much running since I was a child, but had done enough to know I could run the 5k distance without stopping. And then that was 5 years ago, and did it because I just wanted to get healthier, fitter, reaching that point in life where you think, hang on a minute, you really got to look after your body a bit more than you have been. And so that was what it was all about. And yeah, started almost 5 years ago.
Well, it seems to be a general thing with runners, that you seem to go from the age of 16, where you were running at school, and then stop, and then you just start again. You pick it up again 40, 45. And in my case, I was 51 when I started running again 3 years ago. So it just seems to be, should we call it a midlife crisis or a midlife revelation?
Yeah, a realization, I think, that you need to do something.
Instead of going out frontwards, you want to build up the legs.
Yeah.
Right. Dave Sargent's joined us tonight. Good evening. Look, they're having a go at each other again. Who is that running guy? There you go. Running man Sam is with us tonight. So good evening to Sam. Welcome along, mate. Yeah, and they're just generally off talking about that 50k. 50k they did at the weekend. So you started that 5k. How did you approach it? Did you follow a Couch to 5k program, or did you just go out and think, right, put one foot in front of the other?
Yeah, just put a pair of trainers on, and ended up just cotton t-shirt, I think it was, old pair of shorts. Just turned up, and as I say, before that, and I'm only talking probably a few weeks before that, I had managed to just build up enough to be able to do it without stopping. But you know, it wasn't fast, but it was a case of being able to do it without stopping. So no, I didn't really do any sort of Couch to 5k proper thing like that. Probably didn't even know about it in those days. Just did my own thing, running up and down the road to be able to get to the 5k distance.
But can you remember that first park run time?
I know it was just under 30 minutes, so it was 29 minutes and something.
Nothing wrong.
So
nothing wrong
yeah,
with that.
No, and then I went the next week and it came down by about 2 minutes, and then I went the week after and it came down a bit further. So and then I thought, oh, that's good. You can just keep running as fast as you can keep running, and you'll knock time off of your PB each week, and you get a new PB each week, which of course works for a little while to begin with, and then you realize actually it's not all about just going out there and running as fast as you can.
So when you did that first park run, did you ever envisage that the distances you'd be running, and that one day you would even be talking about doing a 50k ultra yourself?
Absolutely not. That would have just sounded crazy. I always had a dream once, when you saw the London Marathon on TV when you were a kid, I always had a dream of, oh, I'd love to be able to do that one day. But then the thought of being able to even run that type of distance was just never went into my head. And I guess, over the 5 years, it's been a journey. Running is a journey, and you just progress in small steps, really. And 5 years later, and training for a 50 miler. So
fantastic. I know the London Marathon was the inspiration for me. I think I spent 38 years watching it, going, I'm going to do that. I want to do that. I want to do that. And then I'd say once I got to the age 51, I think it was a mental shift somewhere along the line. Managed to get a charity place with the Mental Health Foundation, and that was it. We were in and we were running London, and that was the start of the impetus to start running. So if you could go back, what would you tell yourself, or what advice would you give yourself, when you first started?
For first starting, I would definitely say don't go out and try and run fast all the time, which is what I did, what a lot of people do, and then you end up getting injured, and that can put a lot of people off, and some people's injuries can go on for a long time. Took me quite a while to get that first injury, but it did inevitably happen, and it was only really after that I started sort of researching more, started to look into it more, started to actually think about what proper training really means. So that would be my tip for anyone that's beginning. Go out and run fast sometimes, but the other times don't. Just go out and run and work on other things, like your running form, like your strengthening, particularly as you're a new runner. Important to strengthen those muscles that probably haven't been used to doing the things that you're getting them to do for a while. So yeah, that would be the key tip for a new runner I would have.
Yeah, the first goal in any runner is to actually get to the start line fit and healthy.
Indeed, yeah, indeed.
So what have you suffered with then over the years?
Injuries, not too bad, and until last week, I had been injury free for almost 2 years. So, because it was almost 2 years, you seem to forget, don't you? Some of those things you forget about. But the one that was 2 years ago was a calf problem during the Edinburgh Marathon. And then a year before that, soon after I did my first marathon, I got a knee injury. Those were the only two really ones that have taken me out for multiple weeks. I've had a few other things that have taken me out for shorter periods of time. And even the thing that happened last week, I think it came off the back of an 80-mile week. And that was a big sort of ramp up really that we've been doing this year, from January through to now. And I've taken 5 days off, did a couple of runs over the weekend, taken a rest day again yesterday and today, and it's looking pretty good. So I don't think that's even going to, I'm hoping now that's I've just got to ease back into it this week, and it's not really set me back too much at all. And there's plenty of time left in this training plan to deal with that sort of thing, really. And we can get back on track as of, this week, next week.
Well, most plans do include for down weeks. You've just maybe used up 2 weeks in 1 week.
Yeah, indeed.
At my age, my problem is knees, just wear and tear on the knees, supporting them. So that's what's had me out of running for the last 3 years. Just get a knee niggle, and then that's 4 weeks out. But as we all know, rice seems to work wonders on these things, that and ibuprofen.
Yeah. And definitely resting. Resting's good, isn't it?
Yeah, as you say, it's not necessarily excuse me, not necessarily an injury that can put you out. I know if you've watched my video last week, I did a 50-mile week, which is the first 50-mile week I've done since I've come back from injury. And it was a big jump up from the 33 miles I did the week before. And I knew what I was doing. I knew what I was going into, because it was one of those that I went out for the long run and thought, if I just do 15 miles, I've done 50 miles for the week. So I know just ramp it up 10% a week is what you're supposed to do. So I consciously made the decision to be stupid, and that has really knocked me sideways for 2 days now. So I'll be back on it tomorrow, but just ramping the volume up can really take it out of you.
Yeah, you're right, and it is very tempting, isn't it? When you think, oh, I'm not that far from 50 miles, I could just do a bit more, get to 50 miles. Or in my case, the other week I went up to 80 miles, which was maybe a little bit too much.
Yeah, so please remember that. Ramp it up by the 10%. Don't go silly. I think that's a takeaway tip from today. Just noticed that Ben put a comment up, 29 minutes. That's still faster than his current 5K time. So what's your time down to?
I couldn't do ultra marathons in those days, though, Ben, and you can do ultra marathon distances. So it's not all about speed, is it?
Definitely not. Most of my training is done on something similar to the 80-20 method. So I'm actually preferring running slower. I'm getting a lot more enjoyment from the running. How do you tackle it? Are you looking at an 80-20 style or a hybrid of some other?
Yeah, generally. I mean, it's a bit different in this ultramarathon training. So every other training block I've done has been for shorter distances, either marathons, half marathons, 10Ks, or even 5Ks, where in all of those training blocks, I've introduced sort of speed workouts, whether it be tempo runs or intervals or hill reps, something like that. I'm not doing any of that really in this training block at all. It's all about just a focus on the distance and ramping that distance up. It's a focus on elevation, which is going to be key for the 50 miler, and something that didn't form a big part of my training beforehand. And also it's the long runs. The long runs are really important now, and particularly testing out all of the nutrition, the hydration, all of that type of stuff, much more than any sort of speed workout. So I'm doing a bit of speed and throwing a bit of speed in there only for fun, really. And a lot of my training is outside, but because of course we've been in lockdown and only just sort of coming out of it now, and we were limited to being able to only go outside once a day for exercise. In order to be able to get that distance in, I used to do a lot of the training on the treadmill as well. So treadmill's good, do it on Swift. Often there's races and stuff, so take part in that. So if I want a bit of speed, I've been doing it on the treadmill in a Swift type race. That will probably change as we sort of come more out of lockdown, but that's the way it's been at the moment. But the real focus has been on volume, on long runs, on elevation, and particularly now making sure the nutrition and hydration is going to be right come race day.
Yeah, because I presume with this, you're doing this on your, well, when I say on your own, it's not an organised event. So are you looking at stashing water in places, or is
it is an organised.
It is an organised.
50 miler is an organised event. Yes, the North Downs Way 50. It's organised by Centurion Running. So and it's I think this is the 10th year that they've done it. So it's a well-established event, and I live literally, a mile from the course, so I can do a lot of my training on part of the course and become quite familiar with that. They'll have aid stations at various points. Quite how the aid stations will work compared to, we've probably all seen videos of how they normally work, and there's loads of food laid out that you can just put your hand in and take what you want. I suspect in these times that's probably all a bit different, but we'll probably find out a bit more about that nearer the event. But yeah, there will be aid stations. And in terms of nutrition and hydration, I'm just sort of building up that whole strategy at the moment. Used Tailwind on a marathon trail run that I did the other week, and that seemed to go down really well. Gels as well that I've kind of got used to. But I wanted to sort of get some solid food in there as well, particularly my understanding is the better time in an ultra marathon is to use solid food towards the beginning, and then where your body can digest it more easily, and then sort of switch to gels in the latter stages. So that's what I'm sort of trying to build into the longer runs now and trying to see how that works out.
I was reading Scott Jurek's book, Run Repeat, and as you know, he's a world-renowned ultra runner, and he used to carry peanut butter sandwiches in his running belt because the solid food is so much better. So I think that could be a way forward, taking your jam sandwiches or something with you.
Yeah, indeed.
You have how these aid stations all work. If it's anything like when you go shopping these days, you're probably going to have to text them click and collect from about a mile away, so they have it ready for you in the bag to take through.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize it was an organized event. I think we've all got used to everybody going out running solo over the last year and a half. So we forget that these actual organized events are coming back.
Yeah, and they are. There's a lot. There's some that have already happened, aren't there? There's smaller events, I think. It's the bigger ones that we're probably not going to see until the autumn, but quite a lot of the smaller events, and particularly the ultra and the trail type events, I think they're going to find it more easier to comply with the kind of COVID safe measures. So, and this company had events running during last year whilst we weren't in complete lockdown, so they were able to organise those safely. So, I think now, we're only a month and a bit away, really. I guess, well, month and a half away now. So, hopefully, it's all timed it quite well.
As you say, the smaller events, where you've got a couple of hundred or maybe just a couple of thousand people, keeping people split up and what have you is quite easily done. But when you look further ahead and you're looking at the major marathons or the likes of Brighton or Manchester, I know you'll be at Manchester the same as me. How are you going to get 20,000 or even London 50,000 people to start a marathon, even if you split them out? They'll be starting all day, won't they?
It's going to be interesting to see how they do it. I suppose they've still got a bit of time to work it out, haven't they? And they've announced this week about those 10K events that the London Marathon Company are going to be staging with, I think it's 3,000 people, something like that, to just see how they can organise a kind of COVID-safe mass participation event. So we'll see how that goes, but hopefully by the autumn they'll have worked it out.
As I say, just watching 50,000 people start, even if you start them in groups of 1,000, that's 50 starts. It's mind-boggling how they're going to have to try and get around this. Absolutely mind-boggling. Susie's with us tonight for My Run Things. She's just put in for the New York Marathon. Being an American, she ran the New York Roadrunners series, which gives you an automatic place for the marathon. So well done, Susie. So let's hope you get that place for the day you want, which is good.
Yeah, that's a great marathon to take part in, definitely.
I know a friend of mine's got his place in New York this year, so he's hoping that we're allowed to go back to America so we can run that. London Lottery is even harder. I think the majority of people just get the no. I think I've had 4 years of no's now. How many no's have you had, Chris?
About that, yeah. Ever since I started running, I probably put in for it. Well, probably not the first year, but ever since then, yeah.
As a friend of mine says, it's just a yearly way to get a new running top. When you pay your money, you get the new top, don't you?
Yeah, they're not bad though, are they? You need them
they're good quality.
In the winter.
We've got a question for you. Hey, Chris, is that trench done and dusted? Yeah, we saw that on your last video that you were working hard in the garden, getting the power out to your new office.
So I finished the trench off yesterday. It's been an Easter of digging, and it's dug. I'm waiting for some conduit to come that I can put the network cables into that are going to go alongside the electric cable that's going into the trench, and then I have to fill it all up again. So it's not completely, job's not done, but the trench is dug, which is the hardest bit.
When you were editing the video, did you notice small child in the background dancing around?
I did, yeah. And you know what? I filmed that clip twice. As I don't know if you do, but I think, am I happy with the first time I filmed it? I'll film it again, almost identical. And then when I'm editing it, I'll pick and I'll decide which of the two clips am I going to use? And he did the air guitar in both clips. So there you go. I couldn't even edit it out. There's more comments about his air guitar performance than there is about my running or lack of it, I think.
Well, at least you know people are watching, which is the good thing.
Yeah, very good.
Kim has joined us tonight.
Wants a YouTube channel.
Oh, go for it. Kim has joined us from Denmark tonight.
Hi, Kim.
So good evening to Kim. We've got a comment here from Ben. Vegan jerky went down really well on Saturday. Worked well for me. Loads of protein. So jerky. Would you go down that route? I know I wouldn't.
I've probably never had it, so I couldn't comment.
It's funny, isn't it? I'm not having to go at Ben here, but when you say you run, everyone's coming at you at, you need protein, you need protein, you need protein. And then when you ask them, well, how much protein do I need? I don't know. Have you come across that? You know, everyone's an expert on protein, but nobody knows what it is or how much of it you actually need.
Yeah, my philosophy is you just try different things and see what works. I've gone out there and, you know, taken things and just not gone down well at all. Either just the tummy's not agreed with it, or just run out of energy, or whatever. And then other things you think, actually, that seems to actually have worked. That run's gone a lot better. And if you can do that a few times with the same strategy, then you know you're onto a winner there, don't you? Everyone's bodies work differently. If you find something that works for you, stick with it. If you don't, move on.
I know I've moved on to the Morton gels. They're more expensive, but they seem to work better for me. I've not had any problems with the Mortons. That hydrogel, it's like chewing it when you take it down, but there doesn't seem to be any problems with that. But I've noticed even with SIS, I can take the orange ones, no problems at all. I can knock them back like there's no tomorrow. But as soon as I go on to blackcurrant, the stomach starts rumbling for some reason. So it's strange that way.
I had to go off of them. I had a very bad experience with some of those, and realised afterwards they were out of date, the ones I'd taken. So whether that was it or not, I don't know. But it put me off them for a good while. I did come back to them because they're the ones that if you run out, they're the easiest thing to go and buy and get next day delivery on. Whereas a lot of the other more specialist gels, are, you know, you're having to wait maybe a week or whatever to get them delivered.
Well, even I've noticed that in the last couple of years, you can go in Tesco's, Sainsbury's, Asda, and they've all got the SIS gels in there. So, as you say, they are the easiest ones to get hold of. Chris has come up with the comment that all you need is a good pick and mix.
See, I've seen them all eating pick and mix on that ultra that they did, and I was thinking, that's going to give you the sugar rush, but that's not going to keep you going 50 kilometers.
No, Orange Goblin has also said the Percy Pigs and the Jelly Babies, which is the old favourite.
Yeah. Well, I'll make sure I'll have some of that. But I think there needs to be something a bit more substantial for a 50 miler as well.
Well, that's it. Is it 2 Jelly Babies is 20 grams of carbohydrate, which is the same as taking a gel. I know when I was looking into these things. So, but it's a different form of carbohydrate. It's a fast acting sugar that's in your Jelly Baby. So it gives you a quick kick, but it's not long lasting. And when you've had 4 packets of those, I think your stomach might be going a bit as well.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, another top tip from Chris: 50k wearing normal Pringles socks, no blisters.
Well, there you go. He could bring out his own line of socks, couldn't he?
There's a merchandising opportunity right in there for that running guy. Pringle branded running guy socks. Brilliant. Okay, can I just talk about the National Running Show? I know I tried to get hold of you last 2019. Was it? No, 2020 it was, wasn't it, the last one? But you had a flock of people around you every time I saw you, so I couldn't break through the crowd. You were that popular. But as an ambassador, what does that mean for you, and what does that mean for us runners?
So what it means for me is that I would just help them to promote it with the community of people that, you know, I interact with. So on the YouTube channel, on other social media channels, letting people know what's going on and happening at it. What it means to you guys or anyone that wants to go there is that if you want to go there and you want to get a ticket now, up until the end of the month, then you can get one for free. So I've got an ambassador code that you can put in, and instead of paying £10 for the ticket, you can get it for free. And I think, you know, they do that to ensure that they've got enough numbers of people coming in through the doors come July when it takes place. And yeah, so it's a good opportunity to get a free ticket for anyone that wants it. So
Okay,
if anyone's watching this, that hasn't got a ticket yet and thinks they might be interested in going, and it's in Farnborough this year. So it's normally in the NEC, as you mentioned, in Birmingham, very central in the country. But before the whole pandemic started, they had decided to do a kind of south of the country national running show as well as the Birmingham one. So the Birmingham one's still happening. Didn't happen this year because of the pandemic. It should be happening next year in January. But this one that's taking place in July is kind of postponed from last year. So it's at Farnborough in the exhibition centre there. That's right next to the kind of place where they have the air show. People are familiar with that. So for the likes of me, it's not that far away at all, which is actually quite convenient to get there. So I plan to go on both days. It runs on a Saturday and Sunday towards the end of July. And they've got all sorts of people speaking there. Roger Black. Who else? Lots of people. I've forgotten.
Put you on the spot.
Who the other? Oh, Dame. How could I forget her? Dame Kelly Holmes is there. She's been there before. So those are the two really well-known people. But there's lots of other ones as well speaking there. Lots of stalls there where all the latest running gear you can go around, as well as other kind of zones that they have there. So there's an ultra zone there. There's other things. There's other things going on there. So it should be really good. Again, it'll be interesting to see how they actually do this this year, particularly given the situation. And not normally it's a very sort of crowded place, but obviously they'll have to have taken that into account. But yeah, it's I'm definitely looking forward to it. It should be a good weekend out, and the whole running community kind of getting together. And normally we only seem to do that at races, of which there's not been many recently, but this is something a little bit different where you can kind of get together when you're not actually running, but everything you do over that weekend is to do with running. So yeah.
I think we need to point out it's not just shoes. The major companies are there, the major players are there, and obviously you can go and look at the latest and the greatest of shoes. But it's not just about that. There's a whole host of things behind it, including my favourite stall, and I'm always happy to see this whenever I go to any running event, Flapjackery from Cornwall.
Yeah, they're nice, aren't they?
That's the one stall that takes all my money away from me at these events. But if you've not been to a running show, or you've not been to an expo to pick up your running number for a marathon, because they are similar type events, they are really interesting. And they also have plenty of bargains as well. Yeah.
No, it's really good. And it's an event that's been expanding, as I say. They've got the South version of it now. They're doing it in other countries as well. And they've got some other things going on, like a snow exhibition, I think, happening next year now, and an outdoor one, and all sorts of things. So it's kind of like it's all started from, was it about 3-4 years ago?
I think 3 years ago was the first one. Yeah. And it's just expanding from there. So yeah, good thing to get involved in and go along and just see what it's like. Fantastic. I'm just looking at some of the comments we've had coming in. We'll come back to that in a second. Andy Hall has mentioned Home Bargains have some gels, which he bought. Yeah, SIS have given him Deli Belly the last time he took one. So he's been out and bought some cheap ones from Home Bargains. Or go and have a look at those, because you can't beat a bargain, can you? Chris has become an ambassador as well for the running show. So he's been taking notes from you. She'll be taking your sales pitch. Right, okay. Technical question for you, Chris. What is the brand of calf sleeves that you use?
Okay. So nothing hugely special, I guess. They're Decathlon, own branded Decathlon ones. So they've always done the job for me. And I've been wearing them ever since I got cramp in the Edinburgh Marathon. a couple of years ago. So
Decathlon, we think of it as a inverted commas cheap running shop. But apart from the shoes, I've got a pair of Decathlon shoes, which I used once, and now they've been relegated to everyday wear because I'm not exactly brilliant, but I've got some to try them out. But everything else I've had from Decathlon has always been really good gear. I've had some long sleeve running tops that I've been using this winter, and they've been great for keeping the wind off and keeping the temperature up. So
yeah,
if you get
other things that they have that I've got in my gear list is running gloves. They do some good running gloves. Again, they're reasonably priced stuff, and they're reasonably quality as well. And I've got a kind of foam roller thing, which I use on the calves. So yeah, no, they're good particularly for sort of accessories, I think, like that.
Yeah. Leave the shoes alone, but go and have a look at the rest of the gear.
Yeah.
You might be pleasantly surprised with what you come across. And obviously, we've mentioned it several times, not a bad price neither. So we got another question for you. Ben wants your autograph.
Yeah, absolutely, Ben. You can have my autograph. You can even have a selfie if you want.
Hey, normally celebrities at these events normally charge about £30 for a selfie. So you need to be looking into that, Chris. Orange Goblin says he's bagged 4 tickets for the NEC in January. Yep, I will see you there as well. I'm going to that one. Chris is also looking to give Ben his autograph. It's going to be do you know what, Ben? Get all the YouTubers to sign a shirt and auction it off for charity. There's the way forward. What's going on? What else is... Running Man Sam has said the Reebok calf sleeves are great as well. Fantastic. The plenty of discounts on Reebok at the moment. They keep emailing me every day, 50% off nearly everything. So that's worth a look at. The calf sleeves I use are bought from the corner shop called Amazon. So I don't know what make they are. I just got them from Amazon. And look, you've made Ben's day. Fantastic. So we've got your ultra on the way. What's your plans after the ultra, Chris? Have you got any far-reaching plans? Any plans for next year? Anything that's been put back to next year?
After the ultra, and after I've recovered from the ultra, because I imagine that's going to take several weeks, then a focus then will probably be the Manchester Marathon. So that's going to be the one organised marathon that I do this year, and we'll have a training block leading up to that. And I think one thing I've learned going through this ultra marathon training is that I have got quicker at shorter distances just by increasing the volume of running that I've been doing during the training. So I haven't gone outside yet and tried to run shorter distances and tried to see whether I can run faster than I could before it. I suspect I could. I've done it on the treadmill several times. So I know I'm kind of getting, just by the sheer volume of running I'm doing, I'm probably getting quicker at the shorter distances as well. So I'm hoping that will lead into the marathon training and that I can go for a good time in the marathon that I do in Manchester. So that's going to be a kind of goal race for me. As well as that, I suspect before that, in fact, I will go out there and try and better my 5K time, just again to see if I can do it quicker than I could before. And then after the marathon, I'm probably going to be aiming to, in the latter part of the year, to try and beat my 10K time. I don't think I tried to do that at all last year, so that will date for the PB I have on that will date from the year before. So that will probably be the aim for the end of the year. Beyond that, haven't really thought into next year at all. I think, at the moment it's just a case of concentrating this year. I do like the half marathon distance a lot. So I do want to get some half marathon distance runs in as well, races in, if at all possible. And I'm down to do the Great North Run as well. So that'll be the first time doing that. So that'll be, but those, I think the half marathons this year won't really be going for anything special in terms of time. It'll be going for just the enjoyment of going out and racing half marathons again.
Yeah, the half marathon seems to be just a nice race distance, doesn't it? It's enough to push you, but it's not enough to knock you out like a full marathon. And I've just noticed there, for the way you were speaking, how you've changed as a runner. You're training for this ultra, and then you're talking as a marathon as a shorter distance.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? Well,
Right,
I mean,
so
you're doing ultramarathon training and you're going out for a training run that is marathon distance, and then doing another long run the next day. That's the sort of thing you do in ultra training. So yeah, it is a bit crazy.
Ben says you're going to smash Manchester. So yeah,
Thank you,
no
Ben.
doubt you will.
Hope so.
I'll see you there. So if you can sign my shirt there, Chris, that'll be great. Right. So as you say, races coming up. I will see you at the Great North as well. Looking forward to that. Nobody can run a PB at the Great North unless you start right at the front, because it's just one of those races that's so huge. Again, we were talking 44,000 last time it was run. So in September, do you think they're going to be running with such numbers?
It's going to be interesting to find out, isn't it? Because that's going to be one of the, well, that is a really, really big event, and that's going to be happening even before the other really big events. So back, about a month earlier, really, in September. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what they are able to do and how they're able to do it.
I don't know if you came across this news item. It's from the weekend. On Sunday, the women's half marathon time, the world record's been beaten again. It's now down to, I think it's 1 hour, 4 minutes and 4 seconds, 26 seconds taken off the previous. And it's another win for the Vaporfly, next percent.
Wow.
So times are still tumbling.
Yes, indeed. Well, I've got a pair of the next percent too, so I'm interested to see how they turn out, what they can do for my times.
Have you been out in them yet? No, not worn them. No, just looking at them in the box.
Yeah, they're just in the box. Yeah. Well, having picked up that slight concern last week, it's like I'm not able to go out and run fast right now. So we'll see. I am dying just to go out there and just try them out and see what they can do, but we haven't been tempted into it quite yet. I'm
going for the title as the only YouTuber who hasn't got a pair of next percent 2s. It just doesn't, to be honest, the shoe doesn't interest me. I've got a pair of the original next percents, but it doesn't hold anything for me. It's just, shoes seem to have this, you got the first version and then you get an updated version where it's just been tweaked a little bit. And then it's the next version after that, which is the one that's got the significant increases. So it's just not holding sway for me, this one yet.
Well, yeah, I think for me, it's just a case of just trying it out, see what it can do. Everyone's got a super shoe, it seems. And they were the original super shoe, weren't they? So I shall see what they could do. I may never buy another one of those type of shoes again. Who knows? And it's interesting for me as well, because I am an overpronator. I do overpronate. You can't buy a stability shoe that's got a carbon plate and really bouncy type foam like those shoes do. So I'm going to be wearing a neutral shoe to race in, which I haven't done before. So again, it's another sort of element of it to see how that goes. Because
it does make a big difference. My wife got a pair of 4%. She fell into the hype, 4%. She wanted a pair. Don't get me wrong, she loves the shoes. She thinks they're fantastic. But she's like yourself, she overpronates. And it just didn't work for her. But once she's got some Brooks GTSs in the end with the guide rails on, and her running's just come on leaps and bounds once she found that right shoe. And I think that's not just for a case for people who pronate either way, but I think it's a case for all runners. You've just got to find that one shoe that suits you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's another really important tip that I always say to people to try and avoid injury is to have a few different pairs of shoes and rotate. If you stick with a single shoe, then your foot is running in a very same way every time due to the way the shoe is. So again, I've just tried to have more shoes. You're at the end of the day, it's not going to really cost any more because you're going to wear them over a longer period of time. And especially as my volume's gone up, I've needed to sort of ensure that I've got more shoes for that purpose as well. But I think it really does help to be, I never try and run in the same pair of shoes in consecutive runs. I would always try and rotate onto something different. And now I've got some shoes that because I've got the treadmill, and I don't like to bring the outside shoes into here because it puts mud all over the place. So I've got a set of shoes that I can rotate for the treadmill and another set I can rotate outside. So yeah, too many shoes, but it does the job.
There is no such thing as too many shoes. Like yourself, Chris, I've got a box of New Balance Tempos downstairs next to the treadmill. They are specifically for that. So I've got my own treadmill shoes. But I did a video on this a couple of months back, and I did some research. You're 61% less likely to get injured if you rotate your running shoes. And it's all down to the repetitive strain. If, as you mentioned, if you're running in the same shoe all the time, you're putting the same pressures through the same joints, the same muscles all the time, and it's just got that repetitive strain. Whereas if you change your shoe, things might just change slightly, but you're reducing that repetitive strain. And the research is there. 2 reports have come out. 61% less likely. It doesn't say you won't get injured. It's just less likely.
No, it's just, and it's all about reducing the risk of injury, isn't it? There's a number of things you can do to try and reduce the risk of injury, and I think that is definitely one of them. And those statistics probably prove that.
And also, the other side of the coin from the shoe manufacturer saying, well, if you let the shoe rest for 24 hours, the foam comes back to life. Whether that's just a marketing ploy.
Yeah.
I've got a question from you, from Chris to Chris. What time are you hoping for in the marathon?
So every marathon I've run in so far, I've said I want to try and go under 3 hours, 45 minutes, and haven't achieved that yet. So that's going to be the aim, to go under 3 hours, 45 minutes.
Fantastic. I'm still aiming for a Boston qualifying time, so I'm going to try for 3:20. Probably more like 3:45, but 3:20 is the goal. Which is not bad for a 54-year-old.
Why not? Why not?
Yeah. I said this to somebody else last week. No, Boston qualifying time's 3 hours 20. But then I had a look at the Good for Age place for London, and that's 3 hours 15. So it's just getting worse.
Yeah.
Susie's not bought an X%
We just have to keep getting older. Well, as we get older, it might become more within reach, mightn't it?
Oh, as you get to the next bracket, it always drops 5 minutes. So there you go.
Yeah.
Right. So Susie's not bought the next percent twos yet. Heather's with us tonight. Good evening, Heather. Thanks for joining in. Susie says you can do under 3 hours 45, Chris. So there you go. You're getting positive vibes from the other side of the Atlantic. So
thank you, Susie, for the confidence.
Everybody says you could do. What's been the best time on the treadmill? Because I know
best time on the treadmill was 3 hours 52.
Right. So 7 minutes.
And to be honest, that wasn't flat out. So I could have gone quicker. And the 2 marathons I've run on the treadmill, I've taken a very different strategy on than what I've taken in the real world marathons, and that is to start slower and build it up, and then in the second half, well, definitely negative split it, but in the first of those 2 marathons, the final 10K I did on that one was can't remember the exact time, but it was much faster because somebody had told me that if I run a certain pace, I'd come in under 4 hours. So it was a crazy 10K to get under 4 hours, but we did it. And then on the second marathon I did on the treadmill, again, we negative splitted it. And it really did seem to help with that kind of build up and then get to your kind of pace that you want to maintain for most of it. And then for the final part of it, just increase the speed again. But yeah, that's on the treadmill. Real world's different. Some people say outside's easier. Some people say outside's harder. I'm not sure yet because I haven't done enough outside type comparisons, but we shall see later on in the year.
Well, the thing to remember is also when you've been running your marathons on the treadmill, you've been talking all the way around live on the YouTube.
Yeah, true. But then when I'm out there in the real world, I'm talking quite a lot as well because I've got the GoPro up in front of me. So yeah, that does make a difference, as I'm sure you probably find as well.
Yeah.
It's, you know, it is going to slow you down a bit or make you slightly more, exert more effort in doing that. But there you go. We do that. We enjoy filming our runs, don't we? So I'm sure I could probably go quicker if I just left the GoPro in the bag and went out and ran it. But I prefer to film it and see what I can do when I'm filming it.
I always find that once I get the GoPro out and start talking to it, I end up running faster anyway. The pace just seems to go up as I start talking. It's weird that way. Quick question about filming, Chris. Do you do it the same way Seth does it? You go and do your run and then go back and do your B-roll? Or do you film your B-roll and your flybys as you're doing the run?
So, I mean, my videos have a variety of ways in which I do it, to be honest. Sometimes, like the other week, I took the camera out every day for every run I did. Other weeks, I will take the camera out on maybe 2 runs and then talk about the other runs in the video. If I don't do the run and then go and do the B-roll. I think it's probably something I don't do. If I'm doing B-roll and want some flybys or whatever, I'll do it during the run and I'll just sort of stop. I mean, it doesn't cost you that much time really. And you know, I probably wouldn't want to do that on a tempo type run or on a run where I was specifically trying to go fast. But if it's just an easy pace run, then, you know, that's not going to really matter, the fact that you've stopped and put the camera down and done the run past and then picked up again.
Somebody asked me this question about Strava. You know, when you're out on your run and say you've got to stop for traffic or you're at a level crossing and you've got to wait for a train to go past, do you actually pause it or do you just let it run through? No, because one school of thought is when you're actually doing a race, you know, if these things stop you in a race, the time doesn't stop because it's the chip time is from when you start to when you finish. So are you one of these that stops or do you just let it run through?
I don't tend to stop the watch. I just let the watch carry on.
Yeah.
Strava always tells you your moving time and your elapsed time, doesn't it? So you do, if you have stopped for a long time, you will notice a difference between those 2 times on Strava. But no, I don't bother stopping it. It doesn't bother me that much. With a lot of my running, particularly at the moment in this training block, it's easy pace. It's I'm controlling my pace by looking at my heart rate rather than looking for a particular time-based pace. I'm just trying to make sure that I don't go into zone 3 for a lot of the runs, and as long as I'm in zone 1 or 2, then I'm happy. So if I stop at traffic lights, but I don't need to stop it. You know, the heart rate's going to go down. It's going to go back up a little bit once I've started off again.
Fantastic.
So
leave them all in. Dan Runs has joined us tonight, so another one of the 3 amigos who did that ultra at the weekend. So congratulations to Dan on that. Did you notice the difference in style between the 3 videos from the guys? They all seem to film it differently. They all had a different style, and all really entertaining, but all done differently.
Yeah, I did, and it's good how we saw different bits of the run that they did, although they were all doing it together. You know, it each told a bit of a different story and had their different styles in it. That's really good.
Fantastic. Susie said it was a great question about the B-roll. Thank you. What else we got? They thought I was made doing flybys on a 50k. What? Yeah, don't understand that, Chris, but it was interesting to see that you were doing flybys on the 50k, which was good. Yes, Chris nearly missed the 6 hours because he was doing lots of different shots. Right, so it's all coming out now. It's all coming out now. Well, Ben's was the first one out, so yeah. I think that should say wonderful. It's probably missing at the end of that one. Mark's joined us, just got home from a speed session, so he's going to be really sweaty. Hope that went well, Mark. Oh, here we go. Thought I was mad, not made. So there you go. A spelling error there from Chris. So I noticed that the time is ticking on. We're running out of time now. So has anybody got any questions for Chris before we come to an end tonight? Any burning questions about Here We Are Running, what Chris is up to, how he's going to tackle it? I did notice a question further back which I missed, and I was going to get to it and I totally forgot. So I'm just going back. It's a question for you, Chris. What will you wear for the Ultra?
That's probably a shoe question, isn't it? I imagine. So at the moment, I haven't made a mind up. The North Downs Way is largely it's mixed terrain, but there's a lot of it is kind of on clay soil, which when it's wet goes very muddy, and when it's dry goes really hard. So at the moment, this time of the year, it's probably in pretty good condition, and you can wear trail shoes on it, and you get a good grip from the trail shoes. You're not slipping and sliding all over the place, and it's quite soft ground still. In the 22nd of May, depending on what weather we get between now and then, that could change quite a lot. Previously, I've done a lot of training on that trail, and I've worn road shoes because it's been very dry, and it's just like running on pavements, to be honest. But I'm not sure yet whether that's the right choice or not for it. So I think I'll have to leave it a little bit later. I've got some new Asics Trabuco 9 trail shoes that I've got the other week, and I've been wearing those for the last few trail runs I've done, which I'm getting on quite well with, and they're quite nicely cushioned. And I think on a 50 miler like this, certainly for me, I want something that's comfortable. You're going to feel it in the legs the more the distance carries on, and something that's pretty well cushioned is what I want it to be. I think the Salomon Speedcross 4s, which are my original trail shoes, are great for the mud, but I think they're going to be a lot less suitable on harder trails, and I'm expecting the trails to be reasonably hard. We could go for road shoes. The only thing about road shoes is they tend not to have any sort of rock plate type thing in them. So, you may well feel some of the harder, rockier type parts of the trail through it, which again will lead to some discomfort. So it's not an easy question to answer, really. And there probably isn't a correct answer, because you probably just got to pick what's right for you. And I think for me, I'll make a decision nearer the time based on the actual conditions, the weather we've had, and what the trail's actually looking like. At least I'm close to it. I can go out, I can go and check it out, and even in the week before, and decide whether or not to change tact on that.
As you say, depends on the weather. As I said to you earlier on, at 2:00 this afternoon, we had snow in Blackpool, so anything can happen between now and the end of May. Yeah,
exactly. We had a heat wave last week, and then we got really cold, under freezing temperatures this week, haven't we? So who knows?
Anything could happen. Dan's asked, are you excited for the Ultra? And have you had sleepless nights yet?
Not sleepless nights over it yet, no. I am excited for it, definitely. Looking forward to that challenge of getting out there and doing it. Obviously a little bit of a setback over the last week. Want to get over that, want to get back on track, and then hopefully that was the only setback in the training, and then we can work towards it. I don't think there's much more to do now. I think a lot of my fitness came from the first 3 months of the training block, so now it's just sort of cementing that in. I've got to really do a 50k run during the training between now and the end, so that's still for me to do. Once I've done that, I think I'll be happy. I'll be pretty well prepared. Get out there and just do it. I can't see myself taking part in another race between now and then, so it's going to be my first race of the year, first race for a long time. So that will add to the excitement of it all. And of course, being there with Dan himself will definitely add to the excitement of it all.
Fantastic. So yeah, we're all looking forward to watching with that. Chris says he used his Peg 37s on their part of the North Downs way. Susie's asked, what trail shoe do you recommend? She's running her first trail race in August. Well, that's a hard question, isn't it?
It is a hard question. Certainly, you know, I've got plenty of road shoes, and I can talk about the different road shoes I have, but I've only got 2 pairs of trail shoes. So it's you know, there's lots of different trail shoes out there. And I think what I would say is have consideration to what type of trail it is you're going to be running on, or likely to be doing most of your running on, and particularly for that race in August. You know, you can get rocky trails, you can get gravelly trails, you can get sandy trails, you can get muddy trails like we have a lot of here. And the shoes that you want will kind of depend on that. So, for example, the Speedcross 4s that I've got have got really big lugs on them.
Yep.
Which, as I mentioned, are great for the mud. I've hardly ever fallen over in those at all. But then again, you don't want those big lugs if the ground is really solid underneath your feet. It becomes really uncomfortable. So yeah, consider the actual type of trail, the surface, the terrain that you're going on, and then try and pick a shoe that's geared up for that. That would be my advice.
I've got 2 pairs of trail shoes. One is a cheap pair with 8mm lugs, so quite thick lugs on them. They're all right for the muddy parts and the made trails, but if you have to do any bits on the road, they're absolutely awful to run in. So you've got to consider the whole course, not just the trail. But what I have bought recently are the Nike Wild Horse 7s, the new ones with the React foam. Oh, they're really comfy to wear. They're good on the road and they're good on the mud. They've got 5mm lugs, so plenty of grip on the mud. But with that React foam in, they're really comfy. So that's what I was after. So that's what made my choice for those. But Dan has given us an answer to the question. His Hoka Atr Challenger. I think every run he's done.
Dan loves those shoes, and they're kind of an all-terrain type shoe. Yeah. So again, if you are running on different surfaces, that could be a good option.
Dan says super comfy, probably heavier than other shoes, but no feet issues whatsoever, and comfortable like no other. That's the thing when you're doing these ultras and these trail runs, they are generally longer than your road races, so you probably are looking to try and find something that can deal with the terrain and is a little bit more comfy. Orange Goblin is recommend the Innovate range. They're supposed to be quite good from up north. So yeah, right. Looking at the time, that's us nearly done. So all that's left for me to say is, Chris, thank you very much indeed for being here this evening. I really do appreciate
having me, Tony. It's been really good fun having a chat, and everyone in the chat, thanks for joining and chatting along with us.
If you haven't joined Chris's channel yet, it's Here We Are Running. Go over and give them a sub. If you can do me a favor, if you haven't done so already, if you can give this video a like, and if you've not subbed to this channel, could you please do so as well? Now, the live running chat isn't over. My mate Running Man Sam is going live at 9 o'clock on his channel. So if you've got nothing better to do, I suggest you click over to Running Man Sam now and go and join him with his live chat. So that all said, thank you very much indeed for being there. Really do appreciate the support from all you guys. It does mean the world to me, and I know Chris really is thankful for all the support that you give us as well for these lives and these videos that we do. So thank you very much indeed. We'll see you all again soon. Chris, don't disappear. Have a quick chat with you off air, as they say. But that's it for today. Thanks very much indeed for watching. Like, subscribe, and share, and tell 10,000 of your running friends. Thank you. Good night.